where silence stretches farther than sound, and the sky glows even in the darkest season. This is a land defined by contrast. Vast forests give way to thousands of lakes. Cold winds sweep across open fells, while quiet villages rest between hills and open sky. Life moves quietly here, in rhythm with nature. It's a place where winter lingers, summer never truly sleeps, and the wild feels just a step away. Welcome to Finland, a country where simplicity, beauty, and tradition meet in unexpected ways. Let's see why travelers love this spot. In this series, we'll wander through peaceful villages tucked beside icy rivers, explore Arctic wilderness under the northern lights, discover quiet islands in the Baltic Sea, and walk through modern cities shaped by design and snow. From the far north to the southern coast, each stop reveals something uniquely Finnish. Before continuing the video, we have a quiz for you. Arrange the following letters to name one of Finland's most beloved national traditions. We have a hint. It's warm, steamy, and often followed by a dip in an ice-cold lake. Please comment your answer below this video. Now the real journey begins. Located deep within the Arctic wilderness of northern Finland, Lake Inari stands as one of the country's largest and most iconic lakes. Spanning over 1,000 square kilometers, it stretches across a region where pine forests, low mountains, and tundra converge. Its surface is dotted with a remarkable number of islands, creating a labyrinth of channels and inlets that change with the seasons. The lake's remote location and untouched beauty make it a symbol of northern solitude and resilience. The natural landscape surrounding Lake Inari is shaped by glacial forces and long winters. Lake Inari has long held cultural and spiritual significance. It lies at the heart of the traditional homeland of the Sami people, Finland's only recognized indigenous group. The lake itself is considered sacred in parts of Sami belief, a place tied to ancestral spirits and ancient practices. Stretching across the northeastern reaches of Finnish Lapland, Urho Kekkonen National Park offers one of the country's most expansive and unspoiled wilderness areas. Named after Finland's longest-serving president, the park spans a landscape shaped by glacial activity and time, where rolling fells meet ancient forests and silent bogs. Its sheer size and remoteness make it a refuge not only for wildlife, but also for those seeking a deeper connection with northern nature. The terrain here is a blend of contrasts: wide open highlands, dense spruce woodlands, icy streams, and treeless tundra. Rounded hills rise gently from the lowlands, their slopes covered with moss, lichen, and hardy shrubs. Between them lie vast peatlands and quiet river valleys that shift color with the seasons. In summer, the sun barely dips below the horizon, bathing the landscape in a golden, timeless glow. In winter, heavy snow blankets the park, and the skies may dance with the green and violet hues of the northern lights. The park also holds significance in Finnish history. It reflects the country's long-standing value for conservation and the preservation of public wilderness. Named in honor of President Urho Kekkonen in 1983, the park represents not only a natural treasure, but also a political gesture, marking the importance of Lapland's landscapes to Finland's national identity. Over the decades, it has come to symbolize the coexistence of ecological preservation and cultural respect. and windswept pine forests, polished granite shores, and endless stretches of sea form a quiet world shaped by water. This is the Åland Archipelago, an autonomous region of Finland located between the mainland and the coast of Sweden. The terrain is relatively flat, shaped long ago by glaciers that left behind striated rock surfaces and sheltered inlets. Summers here bring long days of soft light, while winters arrive with ice-laced waters and pale skies. Culturally, the archipelago is a blend of Finnish governance and Swedish heritage. Although politically part of Finland, the islands are Swedish-speaking and self-governing. This unique status has its roots in a complex history of shifting rule, treaties, and local resistance. For centuries, the region was influenced by Nordic kingdoms and empires, becoming a strategic maritime crossroads. Its autonomy today reflects a long-standing commitment to peace and neutrality, with demilitarization formally established over a century ago. The people of the Åland Archipelago have maintained a way of life closely connected to the sea. Fishing, boat building, and seafaring were once central to survival, and traces of this heritage remain strong. Even as industries have modernized, many traditional practices continue to shape the cultural landscape. Maritime customs, regional festivals, and handcrafted goods tell the story of communities that adapted to isolation, braved harsh weather, and learned to read the moods of the sea. gentle hills roll into the horizon, cloaked in Arctic moss and laced with clean air so pure it has been studied for its clarity. It is Pallas Yllästunturi National Park, one of Finland's most celebrated natural areas, stretching across the western part of Lapland near the border with Sweden. The landscape is defined by fells, rounded, treeless highlands that rise softly above surrounding forests. These ancient formations, carved by glaciers and shaped by time, offer sweeping views over lakes, peatlands, and pine-covered lowlands. The air here is among the cleanest in the world, a distinction often noted by scientists and travelers alike. Wind moves freely across the open hills, and in the silence, one can often hear only the sound of their own footsteps on the path. The park spans a large area that showcases the variety and richness of Finland's northern ecosystems. Dense, boreal forests alternate with open tundra, and wetlands provide habitat for a range of wildlife. The park is named after two major fell areas whose presence dominates the skyline. But more than physical landmarks, these names represent a landscape that has shaped livelihoods, identity, and tradition for centuries. Early conservation efforts began in the 1930s, and the protected area expanded over time to preserve both natural beauty and cultural heritage. If you visited this place, comment number 5. If not, comment number 0. Stories of golden sand stretching into the sea have long echoed along Finland's west coast, of dunes that shift with the wind, and waters that reflect the northern sun like polished glass. Kalajoki, a coastal town on the Gulf of Bothnia, lives up to those tales with a shoreline that has drawn attention for centuries. Its name, translating to Fish River in Finnish, hints at its historical role as a fishing hub, where rivers once teemed with salmon and coastal life revolved around the sea. The town is best known for its remarkable sand dunes, which form one of the most extensive dune systems in the country. Sculpted by wind, water, and time, these dunes rise gently along the coast, creating a rare combination of beach, forest, and wetland. The unique topography of Kalajoki developed over thousands of years as post-glacial rebound slowly lifted the coastline from the sea. This process continues today, subtly altering the shoreline year after year. Legends have also found a home here. One popular tale speaks of a shipwrecked sailor who was guided to shore by a golden light, said to come from the dunes themselves. A story passed down in varying forms, reflecting the landscape's mythical appeal. While modern science may not confirm glowing sands, the atmosphere of the place does invite such wonder. Far to the north, where darkness can last for weeks and summer sunlight barely sets, lies a land defined by contrast. This is Lapland, the vast northern region of Finland that stretches across the Arctic Circle. Covering nearly a third of the country, it is not a single destination, but a broad, multi-layered landscape with a distinct climate culture, and rhythm of life. Here, winter dominates much of the year, bringing snow-covered forests, icy rivers, and an atmosphere of quiet isolation. Yet even in the coldest months, the land pulses with subtle activity and ancient meaning. The geography of Lapland is shaped by time and ice. The terrain includes taiga forests, rounded fells, open tundra, and wide river valleys. Trees grow slowly in the cold soil, and much of the ground remains frozen for much of the year. During winter, the region lies under thick snow and near permanent night. When spring comes, light returns quickly, and the land shifts rapidly. Rivers thaw, migratory birds return, and plant life rushes to grow in the short Arctic summer. Throughout history, Lapland has remained remote and largely self-sufficient. The environment has always demanded resilience, from the early settlers who adapted to the harsh climate to the communities that still maintain traditional livelihoods today. Despite modern infrastructure reaching the region, many parts remain sparsely populated. Massive stone towers rise above a quiet lake, their reflection shifting in the still water below. Weathered, watchful, and unchanged for centuries. This is Olavinlinna Castle, one of the most remarkable medieval fortresses in northern Europe, located in southeastern Finland. Constructed in the 15th century, the castle was originally built to serve a strategic purpose: to guard a narrow waterway between east and west. At the time, the region lay on the frontier between emerging powers, and this fortress stood as a statement of control, resilience, and readiness. its location on a rocky island surrounded by lakes and channel swaths, chosen not for beauty but for defense. The waters served as both moat and barrier, making the stronghold nearly impenetrable by land. The name Olavinlinna means Saint Olaf's Castle, named after the Norwegian king and saint who symbolized Christian rule and northern resistance. In medieval Europe, castles often held not only military functions, but also symbolic ones, projecting political authority and spiritual legitimacy. This fortress did both. Over time, it changed hands, underwent repairs and expansions, and witnessed numerous battle siege, leaving subtle marks on its stone walls. Architecturally, Olavinlinna reflects a blend of northern practicality and Central European influence. Its thick walls, circular towers, and narrow passages were designed to withstand cannon fire and prolonged sieges. Snowfall comes early here, often in silence, covering the land in white before most of the country has seen its first frost. Situated close to the eastern border, Salla lies in one of the coldest and most sparsely populated regions in Finland. It is surrounded by vast forests, gentle fells, and a network of rivers and lakes that freeze solid each year. The subarctic climate defines much of life here. Winters are long and deep, while summers are short but bright, with the midnight sun hovering above the treetops in June and July. Snow can cover the ground for more than half the year, turning the landscape into a monochrome world of stillness and clarity. The name Salla is believed to derive from Sami origins, possibly referring to a borderland or high ground, reflecting both geography and cultural history. For centuries, the area was home to reindeer herders, hunters, and small farming communities. The Sami presence has shaped regional traditions, including seasonal movement patterns and nature-based spirituality. Though many cultural practices have evolved or adapted, the connection to land remains strong. Do you know any other Sami customs or traditions? Feel free to share them in the comments below. Salla's history is marked by its role as a frontier, both geographically and politically. During the 20th century, the region saw conflict and loss. Large parts of Salla were ceded after the Winter War, and traces of wartime remain in local memory and scattered ruins. These historical layers have shaped a quiet resilience among the people who live here. Life has never been easy in this climate, and survival has required cooperation, resourcefulness, and patience. A web of blue stretches across the land, broken only by islands, forests, and the glint of light on moving water. It's Lake Saimaa, Finland's largest lake and one of the most intricate freshwater systems in all of Europe. Formed during the last ice age, Lake Saimaa is not a single body of water, but a labyrinth of interconnected basins, narrow straits, and island-dotted channels. Its irregular shape and immense shoreline have earned it comparisons to a freshwater archipelago. In total, it covers over 4,000 square kilometers, with thousands of islands and more coastline than the Baltic country itself. For centuries, this lake has been more than a geographic feature. It has been a foundation of human life in southeastern Finland. Settlements grew along its banks, shaped by fishing, transportation, and trade. Timber floated along its channels, and villages developed identities tied to their relationship with the water. Ecologically, Lake Saimaa is one of the most unique environments in Finland. Its waters are home to the Saimaa ringed seal, one of the rarest freshwater seal species in the world, found nowhere else. This animal, isolated here since the end of the Ice Age, has adapted entirely to freshwater life. Efforts to protect the seal and its habitat have become symbolic of broader conservation movements in the region. Beyond the seal, the lake supports a diverse ecosystem. Fish, aquatic birds, and shoreline species thrive in its complex network of habitats. Utsjoki, located at the northernmost edge of Finland, stands as a rare place where indigenous culture, Arctic nature, and extreme seasonal contrast shape daily life in equal measure. This small municipality borders Norway and rests above the tree line, where forests give way to fells and open tundra. Here, the seasons stretch into extremes. Winter brings polar night, when the sun doesn't rise for weeks. Summer offers its counterpart, with the midnight sun casting soft light around the clock. The rhythm of life is tuned to these cycles of darkness and light, which have long guided local traditions, from hunting and herding to celebration and rest. Utsjoki is the only municipality in Finland where a majority of the population is Sami, the indigenous people of northern Fennoscandia. Their languages, customs, and traditional livelihoods continue to define the region's identity. The area has been inhabited for thousands of years, with archaeological findings pointing to early settlements that followed migratory routes of animals and patterns of seasonal abundance. In a place where temperatures plunge below -20 degrees Celsius and daylight disappears for weeks, warmth remains, found not in the weather, but in the way the land is lived in. Levi, a settlement and mountain area located deep in Finnish Lapland, known for its subarctic climate, vibrant seasonal life, and evolving identity. Levi sits far above the Arctic Circle, surrounded by forests, fells, and long horizons. Unlike many remote parts of the north, Levi is not just a place people endure. It is one they return to. The landscape offers both challenge and rhythm, shaped by early frosts, thick snow, and endless summer light. The seasons are more than a background here. They are the structure that holds together life, movement, and meaning. The mountain, technically a fell, is the region's natural centerpiece, rising from the flat terrain with steady slopes and a wide summit. Formed during the Ice Age, it is not a jagged peak, but a rounded presence that seems to invite rather than intimidate. Modern Levi began to take shape more recently than many other parts of Finland. Development here accelerated in the late 20th century as the region's unique conditions, its long snow season, clean air, and dark winter skies, began to attract visitors. Yet despite its evolution, Levi has never grown beyond its surroundings. Buildings remain low, roads curve with the land, and the forest is never far away. The place is known for embracing both its natural identity and its role as a modern destination. Suomenlinna is a sea fortress spread across several islands just off the shore of Helsinki. Built in the mid-18th century, Suomenlinna was originally constructed as a military bastion to defend against naval threats and to reinforce regional power in the Baltic. Its strategic location, guarding the entrance to what was then a growing coastal settlement, made it an essential asset for whoever held control of the region. The fortress was designed using principles of star fortifications, with bastions, ramparts, and tunnels laid out in a system meant to resist siege and adapt to changing warfare tactics of the time. The name Suomenlinna means Castle of Finland, a symbolic renaming that came after independence, underscoring the fortress's national significance. It is now recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, preserved for its cultural, historical, and architectural value. Geographically, Suomenlinna stands apart from traditional land-based castles. Built on a series of interconnected islands, its layout responds directly to the surrounding seascape. The sea is not just a border, but part of the defense, with narrow channels, rocky shores, and natural harbors integrated into the design. Walls curve with the land, and pathways wind between grassy embankments and stone structures. Though its cannons have long fallen silent, Suomenlinna remains alive. The islands are inhabited, and the fortress has become part of the fabric of Helsinki's cultural life. Small, residential communities coexist with museums, studios, and educational institutions. Shaped by nearly 2 billion years of erosion, the rounded ridges of this northern landscape carry the quiet authority of deep time. Known today as Pyhä-Luosto, this ancient terrain in Finnish Lapland is where geological history, Arctic wilderness, and Sami tradition continue to intertwine. Located in the central part of the north, Pyhä-Luosto encompasses a chain of low, rounded fells, remnants of once towering peaks formed nearly 2 billion years ago. These ancient rocks, rich in minerals and history, now rise gently above forests and wetlands, offering one of Finland's most striking examples of ancient natural heritage. Their modest height belies their age and significance. What time has eroded in elevation, it has preserved in quiet majesty. The region lies within the taiga biome, blanketed by dense boreal forests of pine and spruce. Peat bogs and lakes fill the lowlands, while the ridgelines are covered in open fell heath, where dwarf birch and lichen cling to the rocky soil. This area also sits within Sápmi, the traditional homeland of the Sami people. Legends in the area tell of giant spirits and sacred hills, passed from one storyteller to the next under winter skies. What does it mean to be in the far north, where roads end and wilderness begins? Saariselkä, located deep within Finnish Lapland, offers one answer: by blending Arctic nature, cultural heritage, and seasonal rhythm into a singular northern experience. Positioned well above the Arctic Circle, Saariselkä rests on the edge of the vast fell highlands that stretch across northern Finland. The landscape here is marked by treeless ridges, open tundra, and dense forests that seem to go on forever. Winters are long and often silent, while summers bring a soft, glowing light that barely fades. The Saariselkä area is part of the ancient bedrock that underlies much of Lapland. Formed in the Precambrian era, these ridges are among the oldest landforms in Europe. Over millions of years, they have been eroded into smooth, rounded fells, distinctive in appearance and easy to traverse on foot or ski. The soil is thin, the vegetation hardy. Mosses, lichens, and dwarf shrubs dominate the uplands, while forests of pine and birch gather in lower elevations. The subarctic climate shapes all life here. Snow begins to fall as early as October and can linger into late spring. For much of the winter, the sun remains low or absent, replaced by a pale twilight. But the darkness is not empty. Under clear skies, the aurora borealis frequently appears, flickering above snow-covered ridges. In contrast, the summer brings a different kind of wonder. Daylight that never fades, warming the ground and bringing a brief but intense growing season. Its waters begin quietly, gathering strength from the forested hills and wide northern lakes, until they form a path that cuts through both wild terrain and structured towns. This is the Pielisjoki River, a significant waterway in eastern Finland, running through the heart of North Karelia and shaping the landscape it passes. Originating from Lake Pyhäluosto, one of Finland's largest inland lakes, the river stretches southward, flowing through varied topography before joining the larger water systems that drain into the Gulf of Finland. Though modest in length, Pielisjoki holds geographic and cultural importance far beyond its scale. It serves as a connector between north and south, wilderness and settlement, and still water and flowing current. For centuries, it served as a natural transportation corridor for people, timber, and goods, The surrounding land, rich in woodlands, depended on the river to move logs towards sawmills and markets. This function, especially active in the 19th and early 20th centuries, shaped both the physical infrastructure and the economic structure of nearby communities. If you follow the forest where it thickens, and the rivers where they begin to roar, you'll find a place where land and water seem always in motion. This is Kuusamo, a northern Finnish region known for its rugged wilderness, flowing landscapes, and sharply defined seasons. Located near the Russian border and just south of the Arctic Circle, Kuusamo occupies a transition zone between boreal forest and Arctic upland. The terrain is a patchwork of high ridges, steep gorges, fast-moving rivers, and hundreds of lakes, many formed during the last ice age. The result is a landscape that feels alive. Water tumbles over rocks, forests stretch for kilometers without break, and the air carries the earthy scent of moss and pine. Kuusamo's topography is distinct from much of Finland. While much of the country is relatively flat, this region rises and folds, forming a series of ridges and plateaus that offer wide views over forested expanses. Deep canyons cut through the hills, carved by ancient meltwater, and now filled with rapids and falls. The area is also rich in peatlands, wetlands, and quiet, dark lakes. This region is not densely populated, but it has long been a corridor of movement for animals, water, and people. Archaeological finds indicate that humans have lived and traveled through this area for thousands of years, drawn by the abundance of fish, game, and shelter. The region is a mosaic of habitats. Old-growth forests, dominated by spruce and pine, shelter species that require stable, undisturbed environments. Wetlands provide breeding grounds for rare birds and amphibians. How curious it is that a capital city could feel both coastal and continental, orderly yet expressive. Helsinki, the capital of Finland, stands at the meeting point of land and sea, history and design, tradition and quiet modernity. Helsinki faces the Baltic Sea with a wide horizon of water and scattered low-lying islands. This maritime position has shaped much of its identity, from early trade connections to naval strategy, from its architectural rhythm to the daily movements of ferries and sea winds. Unlike inland capitals, Helsinki opens outward, its edges porous to both nature and influence. The city's origin dates back to the mid-16th century, when it was established as a trading post under Swedish rule. However, it remained a modest coastal town for centuries, overshadowed by more powerful regional centers. It wasn't until the 19th century, under Russian administration, that Helsinki rose in prominence. Chosen as the new capital of the Grand Duchy of Finland, it was redesigned with ambition, merging neoclassical planning with a northern sense of restraint. The result was a city of wide boulevards, formal squares, and structures meant to project stability. Today, Helsinki continues to carry that architectural legacy, dignified but never ostentatious. Its urban layout remains walkable and well-ordered, with clear visual lines and open spaces that allow light to pass between buildings. Red brick, green domes, and golden crosses rise against the sky, at once foreign and familiar. This is Uspenski Cathedral, a striking Orthodox church that overlooks the city of Helsinki from a rocky hill near the harbor. Completed in the late 19th century, Uspenski Cathedral reflects a chapter in Finland's complex history. It was built during the period when Finland was an autonomous Grand Duchy under the Russian Empire, and its presence in the capital stands as one of the clearest architectural expressions of that era. Designed by a Russian architect and funded in part by donations from the imperial court, the cathedral was intended to serve the Orthodox Christian population living in Helsinki and its surroundings. The structure is built in the Byzantine Revival style, characterized by its central dome, rounded arches, and richly layered composition. The cathedral's exterior is made of deep red bricks, originally brought from a dismantled fortress in the Baltic region. Green copper roofs crown the towers, and gilded onion domes shimmer in sunlight or snow. Where roads run parallel to rivers and the horizon stays pale for months, a city has grown in step with the Arctic. Rovaniemi, the capital of Finnish Lapland, located just below the Arctic Circle and shaped by the rhythm of light, snow, and northern identity. This area served as a meeting place for trade routes, hunters, and reindeer herders moving between the boreal forest and the fells. Its location made it a natural center for human activity long before modern infrastructure reached the region. Archaeological findings show signs of habitation stretching back thousands of years, reflecting the area's long-standing role in Arctic life. In more recent history, Rovaniemi's development has been marked by both destruction and renewal. During World War II, much of the town was burned to the ground. In the post-war years, reconstruction efforts gave rise to a modern urban layout, partly guided by Finnish architect Alvar Aalto. His influence can still be seen in the grid-like plan and design elements inspired by the shape of a reindeer's head. Rather than rebuild in the image of the past, Rovaniemi became a symbol of forward-looking resilience in the far north. As the regional capital, Rovaniemi plays a key role in Lapland's cultural and administrative life. It houses institutions related to Arctic research, education, and governance. The city is also known as a gateway to the wider wilderness of Lapland, with its forests, fells, and protected areas extending in all directions. Turku, situated along the banks of the Åre River in southwestern Finland, is one such place, where centuries of change have layered into a city that remains both grounded and evolving. As the oldest city in Finland, Turku holds a foundational role in the country's historical and cultural development. Established in the 13th century, it was once the most important urban center in the region, serving as a hub for trade, education, religion, and governance. For centuries, it was the gateway between Finland and the wider Baltic world, linking northern forests to maritime routes that stretched across Europe. The city's early growth was tied to its strategic position near the sea and along a navigable river, making it a natural point of contact and exchange. Under Swedish rule, Turku became the administrative and religious center of Finland. Even after the capital was moved to Helsinki in the 19th century, Turku retained its significance as a regional powerhouse. The Great Fire of 1827 destroyed much of the medieval town center, but also marked the beginning of a new architectural era. The city was rebuilt with broader streets, neoclassical buildings, and modern infrastructure, combining old roots with a fresh layout. Turku hosts universities, theaters, and festivals, while maintaining strong traditions in literature, music, and the visual arts. It was named a European Capital of Culture in the early 21st century, a recognition of its deep artistic heritage and its ability to foster creative exchange. Located along the Kvarken Strait, Vasa sits in a geologically active region, part of the world's fastest rising coastline due to post-glacial rebound. The surrounding terrain, once covered by ice, continues to rise by nearly a centimeter each year. As a result, new islands gradually emerge and shorelines transform with each passing decade. This ongoing process gives the area a unique sense of movement, where land and sea are in constant negotiation. Founded in the early 17th century during Swedish rule, Vasa has long been a cultural and commercial link between Finland and the wider Nordic region. The city was originally established inland, but after a devastating fire in the 19th century, it was rebuilt closer to the coast in its current location. This move was more than practical. It marked a turning point in the city's growth, aligning it more closely with trade, shipping, and later industry. Vasa has always reflected a dual heritage. While part of modern Finland, it retains a strong Swedish-speaking population, and both languages are widely used in public life. This bilingualism shapes everything from education to cultural events, creating a sense of openness and layered identity. Vasa maintains a strong relationship with nature. The surrounding seascape is part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognized for its unique geology and archipelago ecosystem. Like pages in an old book turned slowly by time, wooden facades and cobbled paths tell stories without needing words. Porvoo, one of Finland's oldest towns, where centuries of history remain woven into the fabric of daily life. Porvoo has stood for over 800 years as a witness to shifting empires, evolving trade routes, and cultural exchange. Its origins date back to the Middle Ages, when its natural harbor and strategic inland location made it a key point of commerce between the Baltic Sea and the Finnish interior. The town is known for its preserved old quarter, where wooden buildings from the 18th and 19th centuries cluster along narrow lanes. These homes, painted in muted tones of ochre, green, and clay red, offer one of the most recognizable examples of historical Nordic architecture in Finland. Porvoo's role in Finnish history is notable. In the early 19th century, it hosted an important political assembly that marked the beginning of Finland's status as an autonomous Grand Duchy under Russian rule. Kerava, located just 30 kilometers north of Helsinki, has developed from a rural village into a small, independent city with an urban core and strong communal identity. While connected by rail and road to the capital, it has carved out its own space in the Finnish urban landscape, offering a slower, more localized alternative to the pace of larger cities nearby. Historically, the area was known for agriculture and trade, with early settlement patterns shaped by access to rivers, arable land, and transportation routes. Kerava's growth accelerated in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, largely due to the construction of the railway. What began as a modest station stop gradually expanded into a functioning urban center. Industrial development, particularly in areas like timber and food processing, played a key role in supporting the town's early economy and migration. Despite its proximity to Helsinki, Kerava did not become a simple commuter zone. Instead, it evolved into a self-sustaining town with its own municipal services, schools, cultural institutions, and recreational infrastructure. Its residents are often both part of the greater metropolitan workforce and actively engaged in local life. Urban planning in Kerava focuses on livability. The city prioritizes pedestrian-friendly design, bicycle paths, and accessible public transport. Its relatively small size makes movement easy and efficient, while green areas are integrated into residential zones. Nature is not just a backdrop, but a functioning part of city life. Tampere sits on the isthmus between Lake Nesijärvi and Lake Pyhäjärvi, with the Tammerkoski Rapids running between them. This natural energy source has shaped the city's entire history, fueling its transformation from a modest settlement in the late 18th century to a leading industrial hub by the 19th and early 20th centuries. At a time when Finland was still largely rural, Tampere became known as the Manchester of the North, with textile mills, metal workshops, and machinery factories lining the riverbanks. Unlike cities that grew from political influence or ancient trade routes, Tampere's growth was industrial at its core. Its early expansion was driven by manufacturing, and its working-class identity became deeply embedded in local culture. Neighborhoods were built around factory life, and the daily rhythm of the city followed the sound of engines and the shift whistle. Today, Tampere remains one of Finland's largest cities, but its industrial roots have evolved. Many of the old brick factories have been repurposed into offices, cultural centers, or universities. The city has embraced creative industries, technology, and research, positioning itself as a leader in smart city development, digital services, and innovation. The urban layout of Tampere reflects its layered development. The river still forms the central axis, with bridges connecting both sides of the city. Old industrial districts blend with newer residential and commercial zones. Where forested hills rise beside still waters, and classrooms overlook pine-covered slopes, a city balances knowledge with nature. Jyväskylä, located in central Finland's Lake District, is a city where education, nature, and architecture converge in distinctively Finnish harmony. Founded in the early 19th century, Jyväskylä began as a small inland settlement surrounded by lakes and ridges. Its growth was closely tied to the establishment of Finland's first Finnish language teacher training college in the mid-1800s. This milestone positioned the city as a national pioneer in education, setting it on a path to become one of the country's most respected academic centers. It has long been known as a place where ideas take form, where theory and practice meet in applied sciences, pedagogy, and social research. Public spaces are often filled with student activity, and the population remains relatively young, giving the city a dynamic and forward-looking spirit. Architecturally, Jyväskylä holds special significance due to its strong connection with Alvar Aalto, Finland's most internationally renowned architect. Aalto spent his formative years here, and his influence is visible throughout the city, not just in specific buildings, but in a design philosophy that values light, function, and integration with nature. Many of the city's structures reflect clean lines, natural materials, and thoughtful interaction with terrain. The city is surrounded by lakes and rolling hills, with built areas spreading out around the water and along forested ridges. This topography offers both beauty and challenge, requiring urban planning that respects elevation, slope, and natural drainage. As part of the Helsinki metropolitan area, Espoo is Finland's second largest city by population. Yet it remains distinct in structure and identity. Unlike dense capitals with a clear downtown, Espoo is characterized by multiple centers, each with its own commercial, residential, and cultural functions. This polycentric layout reflects both its history and its vision for the future. A city not defined by a single skyline, but by a mosaic of communities that combine nature and technology in equal measure. For centuries, agriculture, fishing, and forestry sustained the region's small villages. The transformation into a modern city began in the mid-20th century, as Finland's post-war growth and urbanization spread outward from Helsinki. The city stretches from the Baltic shoreline inland toward forests and lakes, blending urban infrastructure with protected nature. Residents live close to walking trails, wetlands, and shoreline paths, even in areas with high-tech campuses and transit hubs. The scent of smoke and fresh water lingers in the air, rising with morning mist and drifting across still shorelines, Kuopio. It is a city in eastern Finland, surrounded by the deep blue expanse of Lake Kalavesi and shaped by both water and tradition. Established in the late 18th century, Kuopio developed as a regional center of trade, education, and administration in the Finnish Lake District. Its location on a peninsula that extends into a vast inland lake system gave it natural advantages in transport and connectivity. Even today, Kuopio's geography defines its identity. The city sits among hundreds of lakes, where bays and islands create a landscape that feels both open and enclosed. Gently rising hills frame the horizon, and wooded ridges often serve as natural borders between districts. Forests begin at the city's edge, and lakes are never far from any neighborhood. Trails, open-air gathering spots, and seasonal cottages are integrated into everyday life. Kuopio also sits near the cultural boundary between Eastern and Western influences. While the entire country shares a national identity, the eastern regions are sometimes viewed as more rooted, traditional, and quietly expressive. Kuopio reflects this blend, a city modern in its infrastructure, yet grounded in the rhythms and values of an older Finland. It is large enough to offer essential services, institutions, and opportunities, but small enough to remain approachable, cohesive, and close to nature. Kajaani was founded in the 17th century, originally serving as a strategic outpost during the period of Swedish rule. Positioned along the Pielisjoki River, the town became a natural point of control and trade between the eastern forests and the more developed coastal regions to the west. Its early significance came from its castle and river port. Military, administrative, and economic functions all tied closely to its geography. While those early fortifications are long gone, the city still reflects its origins as a place where governance met frontier. Surrounded by dense boreal forests and large lakes, Kajaani remains closely connected to the natural landscape. The region is part of Finland's wild interior, where long winters, short summers, and vast tracts of undeveloped land define the rhythm of life. Established in the Middle Ages, Hämeenlinna was strategically positioned to control trade and movement in the historical region of Hem. While the town has since evolved into a modern city, its layered past remains visible in the rhythm of its streets and the shape of its built environment. Hämeenlinna sits at the transition between southern farmland and the denser forests of the interior. Its lakeside location has always been central, not only for transportation, but also for shaping the town's identity. The surrounding landscape is marked by low hills, open water, and cultivated land, offering both visual openness and ecological variety. This setting has made the area attractive for centuries, supporting agriculture, habitation, and a steady cultural life. Suomenlinna has produced and attracted writers, musicians, and scholars over generations, helping to establish a regional identity. Replot Bridge, located near the western city of Vasa, connects the Finnish mainland to the Replot Archipelago across the shallow, shifting waters of the Kvarken Strait. Opened in 1997, this cable-stayed bridge extends more than a kilometer in length and rises with twin pylons that mark its position from afar. Beyond its technical function, the bridge serves as a symbol of access and continuity for communities living in the sparsely populated island regions. Prior to its construction, year-round connection to the islands relied heavily on ferries, a system shaped by weather, ice, and limited schedules. With the bridge in place, transportation became uninterrupted, reliable, and more closely aligned with modern needs. Constructing a bridge in this setting posed particular challenges. Engineers had to account for unstable seabeds, seasonal ice cover, and long-term geological change. The solution was a design that balances strength and flexibility, an elegant structure that resists harsh winds and winter temperatures while blending visually with the low horizon of sea and sky. The bridge's shape reflects both practical necessity and aesthetic consideration, rising above the landscape without overwhelming it. For the local population, the bridge has become part of everyday life. It supports not only personal travel and commercial logistics, but also cultural exchange and regional cohesion. From frozen lakes that sparkle beneath the northern lights to quiet forests that hum with ancient stillness, Finland is more than a destination. It's a way of being. Whether shaped by silence, snow, or sunlight that never fades, each place carries a rhythm that stays with you long after the journey ends. Thank you for joining us on this first look at Finland. We hope it inspires your next adventure into nature, into culture, and into the calm that only this northern land can offer.